Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. So, market's continuing higher overnight. Actually pulling right up on overnight high now and setting a new one. And just to review, we had that CPI drop and big old pop up, which started a daily squeeze. So we have already tapped the bottom of it. And now we're working our way up. The top of that daily squeeze sits up around 38.55 and spans up to about 3,900 with the daily 50 just beyond that. I could definitely foresee a scenario where we slowly grind our way up to the top of this daily squeeze while the daily 50 slowly comes down to meet us. And since we came off that daily squeeze bottom, we made it back to the daily 21, this white line, and pulled back to this zone of support, which totally stopped us and reversed us right back up. And yesterday we dealt with that, sizable gap up, pushed a little bit further to that psych level 3,700, and then basically flagged, right? Nice little bull flag here. Now we're gapping up. We actually gapped from under 3,700 straight to 3,708. We held that and pressed higher through the daily 21, which sits around 37.31. Through our next key level, 37.41, and now we're arriving at the next level, 37.73. Past that, we have 3,800 and 38.07 and a half. We've got some interesting levels around 38.25 and 38.33 where that first Keltner sits. And the next zone above that, 38.43, 38.55, where the top of that daily squeeze sits. Also, 38.20 was the recent high from the last time we touched the daily 21. So, like I talked about in prep Sunday night and in prep yesterday, we don't have a ton of reasons to go up right now, but we have a pretty, we're kicking into the busy part of earnings season. And, if you look around historically, earnings season can be mixed, but overall kind of tends to guide the market a little higher. So, as we go through different names in earnings season, we might see the market have a little rally. That's what we're getting. Already almost back to the last spot we sold off from. Getting there today is, a little bit more than an ATR. We're already up 3/4 of an ATR. Much like yesterday. We were up about 3/4 of an ATR. We pushed to a full ATR. And then we flagged. We could get something similar today. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if today was a little different and we come back to fill the gap and hit 37.08 and a half before truly heading higher. But, they're starting to make the moves overnight and leaving little during the cash session. It is also OPEX week. A lot of, options are expiring at the end of this week. So, another reason to not really take it anywhere during the cash session. Just something to be prepared for. We can take a quick look at economic calendar. There's not much going on this week. The earnings schedule is a little busier than the economic calendar. We've got some manufacturing production data We've got a couple of Fed speakers today. Only one during the cash session. Some building housing starts tomorrow. Beige book, which could be a little interesting. And then jobless claims every Thursday. Some more manufacturing data and home data. Another Fed speaker. And then Friday, some inflation expectation numbers coming out around noon. We have what? Netflix after the bell today on earnings. So, for today, let's see if we start to have a dip to 37.41. If that starts to give out, going back to test the daily 21 at 37.30. And if we start to slip below that, we are likely coming back to 37.08, 3700 to kind of fill the gap. But if we can hold one of those key levels and start to push, looking to get through 37.73 and work our way up to 3,900. I'm sorry, 3,800, 3807 and a half. If you notice, there's always a level around like 3807, 3708, yada yada. So let's see if we can continue higher. Technically, let's see. Close around, we're just going to call it around 3,700 with 100-point ATR. 3,800 is a full ATR move. So pushing into this daily squeeze top might be more of a 2-day journey. And if we do fall down to 3708 and can't hold it, then we're going to test 3700 and back to the daily 8 at 3683, which the daily 8 and daily 15 now overlap, and it's kind of the base of that flag, if you will, from yesterday. On to NQ. NQ was kind of the leader yesterday. For the first time in a while, it's kind of been leading the downside. YM has been holding up a little better in the downside, and this CPI pop and drop. So NQ trying to be a leader to the upside, big tech. And in each index, it's worth noting, we set higher lows, higher highs, and we're still setting higher lows and higher highs. So overall, a nice upward trend forming here. It'd probably be worth drawing out the trend just a little. Park it right like that. There we go. So on NQ, arriving at the daily mean, pre-market, we have the daily 15 down below at that key level, 11,200 we'll call it, even though I haven't marked a few points lower. Wouldn't be surprised today if we come back from the daily 21 to test the daily 15. It aligns well with Friday's pre-market high, which was, around that 250. The daily 15 is at 200. So, wouldn't be surprised if we reject the daily 21 like we have, come back down to the daily 15, maybe even back to the daily 8, which is kind of near yesterday's highs. we should, to continue this trend upwards, we should be finding buyers at yesterday's high and at Friday's high, making a zone of support, which is pretty well articulated by this daily 8 and daily 15. So if we can't get through the daily 21 and this 11,400, we could come back for a retest, maybe even fill the gap, but want to see it hold this zone of the daily 8 and daily 15 and continue to push us higher through that 11,400 up to this big key cycle level 11,500. And then, beyond that, we've got 11,677 in the first Keltner to the upside. But in Q, only about 100 points left in the tank for upside as far as ATR goes. So that 11,500, if we push up there, could kind of be topping out on a normal move. Can't hold that daily 15, coming back to the daily 8, and if we can't hold that, then we're coming back to like 11,100, 11,050, maybe even cycle level 11,000, which we kind of just tore through during the cash session and never really went back to test. The ready. Also kind of leading to the upside. The ready has been very strong as well. First one back to the daily 21, held up the best on Friday's sell-off, and now already above Friday's high. Well, it's already, I'm saying, almost to that daily squeeze top. So let's see if on a pullback we can hold Friday's high or yesterday's high, which is kind of back at the daily 21. Basically, would like to see ready on a pullback, hold 1745, 1750. If it starts to lose 45, going to 33, 23, all these daily moving averages. Let's see, already up. About 3/4 of an ATR, we'll say. Can push about another 20 points. From 1780 up to 1800 in the top of this daily squeeze. So technically the ready could get to the daily squeeze top today and be the first one to arrive. We also have these highs from the last run up at about 1780 where we're kind of topping out right now. So let's see if the ready continues right up to 1800 or has a nice pullback to about that 1750, maybe fill the gap back to the daily 21. Definitely keep an eye because, the ready has been kind of moving first. Not necessarily saying it's the leader that everything follows, but it undulates back and forth so hard sometimes that it'll start dumping first. Then the other indices will start to also fall. It will kind of bounce first and start rallying back while the other indices are, still finding their feet. So keep an eye on that for the ready. YM. Damn, look at this. Already up to first Keltner. Was ready already there? No. YM, very strong. Yesterday held the daily 21 and that psych level 30,000. And here we are, almost at 31,000. Up pretty much 100 points away from a full ATR move. Which would get it to 31,000 in the top of this daily squeeze. Can she keep trucking? Absolutely. Just outside of this daily squeeze is the daily 50 at 31,328. And then we've got a zone up here around 31,500 psych level. Not saying that we get there today. We do have a daily squeeze to deal with, the daily 50. Just kind of giving what the next zone and target would be. On YM. Oh, is it already on? Jeez, come on, toss. Well, what I was going to say is if we have a dip Would like to see 30,400 kind of hold us up. Kind of yesterday's highs and Friday's highs. And that 30,500 psych level. Finally, there we go. It would also kind of overlap with the trend line from the overnight lows. So if we do have a dip, kind of looking for us to hold right about there to start to work our way back up. Come on, toss. Killing me here. Oh, I see. Got an error message on another window. There we go. So would like to see 30,500 hold up. If that gives out, we're likely coming back to fill the gap around the 30,300. And if they really want to look like it's time for a sell-off again, we could see this daily 8 and daily 21 again. A very strong move. I think yesterday, what did she move? Like, we'll call it 650. Yeah, it was a very strong day yesterday. About 600 points-ish. 6 or 7. And we're already up another 600. So at least now you guys know I'm not crazy when I talked about a rally this week on Sunday night's prep. And now we're seeing that. Moving on, Apple. Arriving back up at our key zone here from 144.5 to 145. We also have the daily 21, which will be sitting right at that 145. Apple closed at 142 and gapping up about 3, so already up about 3/4 of an ATR. The next key zone, 147.5, 148.5, and 149 are the targets to the upside if we can continue. That first Keltner to the upside sitting pretty much at about 150. If we start to reject this zone, likely coming back to test pre-market low at about 143.5 and could come back to fill the gap, 142.5. But Apple definitely being cooperative in this run up and looks like it might be opening above Friday's high. And that 47.50 is where we topped out last time. Let's see if we can continue up to that and kind of make this U complete. AMD, yesterday, decent day, and now moving up from 56-ish to 60 in the top of this squeeze, like we covered in prep. We do have chip earnings tomorrow after the bell. We have, what was it, Intel or IBM? I thought I could get through this without looking at the earnings schedule, but let's just go take a peek. I know we have Lam Research tomorrow after the bell. And IBM after the bell. So we could see a little sympathy rally in chips. Talked about that in Sunday night prep. And we're getting that. Coming back to 60. Let's see if it can continue its trek higher. Let's see, closed around 58. We'll just call it a 4-point. Could get up to about 62, where that first Keltner down and daily 15 will be sitting. If she rolls back, let's see if that 58.75 can hold. It was kind of the ceiling yesterday. If that gives out, we're coming back to fill the gap. around 58. And should that give out back to 56? Amazon, very strong yesterday, and look at her this morning. If I had to guess, I know a couple of people in the room probably swung Amazon. But great move off this 106. It hit it on Thursday, came back to it on Friday, gave one of those pre-market wicks against it, and off to the races. So going to be opening above the daily 21, closed at, we'll call it 114, with a 5-point, pretty much made a full ATR move. Up to 119 would be a full ATR move. If we can keep trucking, 119 is the full ATR move, 120 psych level, 123 is where we topped out last time. We got that 122 and a quarter right near the first Keltner to the upside. If she comes back, could make a bounce at 115, Friday's high, where the daily 15 still kind of sits. And if that can't hold, then we're likely coming back to fill the gap and around this 113.5, where the daily 8 will probably be catching up to today. BA, making a nice push out of this tight squeeze consolidation. Held the daily mean yesterday and starting to work its way up on a journey to get to that first Keltner. Got a key level at this 138.5. Zoom in a little. There we go. 138.5-ish. Yep. That we're coming up to test right now. If we can't get through that and pre-market high, she could come back to fill the gap to 136 and 135. Kind of that overnight low for a test. If she goes any further past that, we're talking the daily 8 and 15, sitting down below 130.5, 133, we'll call it. And if she can keep trucking to the upside, yeah, we got that first Keltner around 141, and the daily 50 up near 150. Cat. Definitely an interesting move yesterday, but was opening and running up to the daily 50. I know if you notice, we're covering the daily 50 on a number of names as the upside target, and Cat has been holding up well in all this sell-off and has hit the daily 50 a couple times already. So now gapping up above the daily 50 on a pullback. Let's see if that can hold at about 183. If not, we are likely coming back to test this 181, 180 pocket that we kind of found buyers yesterday. But if we can hold that daily 50 and keep pushing, next level is 185 and 189.5, where the first Keltner to the upside sits. Oh, I'm sorry, second Keltner to the upside sits. Coin made a great move yesterday. So, when the market makes a huge gap up and then leaves us very little during the cash session, sometimes it's worth going around and looking at different names. I've been covering coin at very interesting levels and looking good for a potential to the upside. You can go back and watch Sunday Night Prep to see more on that. But yesterday made a nice move from about the 65 up to 70. And almost back to the daily 50 pre-market. If we have a pullback, kind of looking for this 69.5, 70, 69.5, and the daily 21 here at about 69 to hold. If we lose that, we're coming to test 68 where the daily 15 holds, and if that gives out, then we're talking back to retest, where we opened yesterday in pre-market lows. But definitely starting a little bit of an ascending wedge or channel. So let's see if coin can continue through Friday's high, through last week's high, to push up into to the 78.80. Google. Another name that was nice and strong. Got back to 100 and chopped around it yesterday, and now looking like it's going to open up at the next key level, 103, in the top of this daily squeeze. Also where we kind of topped out on the last run up. If we can push past this 103, this first Keltner to the upside, the goal is the next Keltner where the daily 50 sits near the next key level. We do have this daily squeeze, which is a little thick, and the market's arriving at daily squeezes. Can we get through daily squeezes and fire to the upside? Yes, we can, but usually it takes a push against it and a further push and more pushing to get a squeeze that is thick with the red shading to open up. Just like it slowly got thicker, it can slowly get thinner before firing. If we're coming back for a retest or profit taking, looking for 101 to hold. If not, then we're coming back to fill the gap to the daily 21 around 100. GS. Man, talked about this one a lot. How we had bank earnings coming up last Friday and into this week. I don't believe GS reports this week. Double check. Oh, I'm sorry. They report today before the bell. Either way, making a nice push. Let's see if she's going to continue past this first Keltner to the upside. 325, 330, where the daily 50 and daily 200 sit. If we get continuation. If she comes back, 310, 306 where the daily 21 sits, and 300, 302 where the daily 15, daily 8 sit. JPM already reported earnings and working its way higher. Almost to the top of the daily squeeze and almost to third Keltner to the upside, which sits up around 122.5. Past the cycle level of 120. If she's coming back, looking for about 115, 116 to hold. If that can't, coming back to the daily 50 at 114. Meta had a pretty decent day yesterday. Got back to the daily 8 and 15 and now gapping up to the next key level where the daily 21 sits. From key level to the next key level. Very interesting. If we can't get through this 137, 138 where the daily 21 sits, likely coming back to retest 133.5, 143.5. And could even get back to 132 where the daily 8 sits, kind of the top of these highs. Microsoft, very strong yesterday. Had one of those wicks back down to the gap, or to where it closed, kind of, and then back up. And now back above this 240, 241. I talked about that in Sunday night prep. Those 240 calls, definitely something you want to keep an eye on. They will be opening in the money. Let's see if we can hold 241, continue the trek higher, back to cycle level 245, 247.5, and 250, kind of where we topped out last time at the top of this daily squeeze. And yeah, and annoyingly made most of her move pre-market yesterday, and but still remained strong. Continuing higher. If we're coming back, let's see if 241 can hold. 240, daily 21 just a hair below that. If those give out, could be coming back to 136.5 and, I'm sorry, 236.5 and this 232, 234 where the daily 8 sits. Netflix reports today after the bell. Already kind of getting through 250. To the upside. Got a key level here at 252. Or we could top out in these squeeze tops and start coming back before they report today. Let's see if it can stay above 242. Basically they're going to report after the bell. Whatever happens today is kind of unimportant because the big move is going to happen after earnings. So let's see if they dump right back down to 200 or make a push right up to the daily 200, which is up at 284. Could be a decent size move. Nvidia came down to this kind of wide zone of support to settle, hit the bottom, get to the top, come back to the middle, and now pushing out. Getting back to 122 through Friday's high. Next goal up to 125.5, closed around 118. Yeah, she can get to 125 today on a full ATR move. If we reject this daily 15 during the cash session and start to come back and lose it around 122, it could come back to test the daily 8 and kind of yesterday's highs around 119, 120. Ultimate goal, if we can get above the daily 21 this week and keep moving to get back to 130, 132, 136 here. QQQ. Looks like it's about to be opening above the daily 21 and above this little zone of support. Closed around 269 with an 8-point ATR and some change. 277, which we're pretty much already a full ATR up. If she can continue higher, obviously there's a psych level at 280. If she comes back for a dip, there is a key zone here, but even just holding that doesn't leave much risk reward to the upside. So let's see if we do have a dip, kind of looking for 272.5, 271.5 to hold that daily 15. If not, we're likely coming back to 270 to fill the gap. And maybe to that 268 where the daily 8 sits. SPX. Wait, first, I gotta see this move on Shop. That was so big yesterday. Just to mess with our brother watch. It really was a 50-cent move during cash session. Unless you caught that bottom. And then it was an 80-cent move. Woo! She's sure gapping up, though. You got up to, from, where do we close? Almost up 2 points. I hope you swung some, watch. That's all I can say. Moving on. Snow doing much? Ooh, yeah, Snow had a great day. Covered this one in prep. It got down to the bottom of a 2-day squeeze, had its consolidation and squeeze clouds, could make a nice move higher, and already has from 155 up to 175. I don't believe they report this week or anything. No, not till the end of November. Talked about this one in prep. Kind of a little salty. I didn't pick up some options on her yesterday. But made a nice move, filled an old gap, and now trucking higher, back above the daily 50 and 21. Let's see if she can give us a pullback to the daily 21 around 170 before heading higher. The goal of getting to 180 and 190, and the daily 200, which sits up around 193. And I see you there, the sliver of a daily squeeze as well, sitting up near that second Keltner to the upside. SPX. flag yesterday. It looks like it's going to be opening up about 80 points. So, might be opening near that 3750. Where is ES? 3773. So yeah, likely going to be opening around those 37 or around that 3750. Man, I looked at those 3750s yesterday too for today, and they were looking good. Salty, I did not pick some of those up and swing them as well, but going to be open around 3750. Going to be leaving a sizable gap behind. Let's see if it wants to slip back down to partially fill that gap. Let's see if we can get back to this daily 21 around 3713, maybe this psych level 3700. We've got Friday's highs around 3710. So let's see if we want to pull back to 3713, 3710, which would be like ES coming back to test 3700, kind of fill the gap. And then let's see if we can, we're going to open it at 3750. We could catch a bounce, say 3725-ish, and maybe not even make it back to the daily 21 and Friday's high. If we can keep trucking, we'll be up close to an ATR with about 20 left in the tank. Yeah, not much, just basically like this 3780 and 3800, kind of the next stops to the upside. I'll get SPY. SPY. Oh man, makes it above this 365 yesterday and consolidates, and now about to open at 375, 10 points higher. And I know Brother Richie called out the 370s and 375s for Wednesday's expiration yesterday before close. If you took that trade he called out, you're going to be sitting very pretty today. So, on SPY, 9-point ATR. It's up a full ATR. So let's see if it wants to take a break and come back. As you can see, it hit 374. It came back to this 370. We're back at 374. Let's see if we open, make a quick push, and then start to pull back. Losing this 374, coming back to 370. Should 370 give out, likely coming back to kind of fill the gap, 367, 368. And 365 if that can't hold, right? But very strong. Not trying to say time to short down to here. We have to watch the price action and respond. But a lot of things up a full ATR. And really yesterday, you know, a lot of things opened up not even a full ATR, kind of 2/3, maybe a half, and then made it to a full ATR. Now we're opening a full ATR. So, might be time for a little profit taking and reload. But, you know, there's a lot of earnings this week, but Netflix and Tesla can move things so much. Not surprising to see this rally into both of those. I'd say after Tesla reports, it'll be very interesting to see if this rally comes back. On to Tesla. Made a great move off this 206, coming back up above this 216 and made it beyond the 222, but came back to kind of settle and retest at 216, close at 219, opening at about 230, up at the next zone from 230.5 to 233. Close at 222. 223 with about a 14 point, so she can keep trucking if she can get through this zone to 30.5, 233, coming up to 240. The next target is the daily 15 at 240 and the daily 21 at 245. She does have earnings on Wednesday, but very strong bounce. If we run into this zone and pull back, let's see about this 223.5 holding. If not, we might be coming back to retest yesterday's highs and fill the gap. Yeah, 219. 219, 220. And, you know, she reports tomorrow after the bell. So could have a little pullback today, rally up into tomorrow. UVXY. Talked about yesterday for upside. Wanted to see this get down to the daily 15 at daily 21. That's what we got. For continued upside today, want to see this continue to get down to the daily 21 to the psych level of 12 and start to push through it. Kind of a little surprised that this isn't gapping down more with the market gapping up so hard, so that could lend to a pullback. If we're going to have a little pullback or come back to fill the gap, we'll likely see UVXY hold 12 or this daily 21 at 12.15, a little zone of support between those two. We'll likely see UVXY hold this and start to rally up to 12.5 if we're going to have a pullback or fill the gap. The UVXY could get up to that 12.5 or maybe even 13, which would give us a more sizable pullback. VIX. Talked about for upside yesterday. This needed to get down through the daily 8 and 15 and try to make its way to the daily 21. We kind of got that. We gapped below the daily 8 and near the 15 and then pushed below that. And kind of chopped between that 31.5 and 30.7. Now we're going to be opening near that low. So for continued upside, we want to see VIX get down through 30.5, through the daily 21, and go test 30. If we're going to see a pullback to fill gap, we could see VIX hold this daily 21 at 30.4, psych level 30.50, hold there and start to bounce through 31, back to yesterday's highs around 31.5. You know, basically tapping this daily 21, coming back to this daily 8 would give us a pullback on the market. So that's it for prep this morning. Hopefully this was helpful for everyone. Thanks for tuning in. For our members, I dropped our tools last night. I'll double check, but I usually throw in enough strikes to cover any kind of gap up like this. So good luck today, folks, and we'll see you in the chat.